Welcome back. You're still watching SA Today. We go across our borders now. The Centre for Democracy and Development organisation in Mozambique has called on the Mozambique National Electoral Commission to deliver free and fair elections. The country goes to the polls tomorrow. Meanwhile, the Mozambican National Electoral Commission has responded to allegations raised by civic organisations. The organisation registered its concerns about the volatile situation in central parts of Mozambique, blaming attacks to lack of transparency by the Commission. The director for the CDD, Professor Adriano Novunga, says that there is no justice and fairness in this process. Mozambique's ruling Frelimo party faces the main opposition, Renamo, and other parties like the Democratic Movement of Mozambique in tomorrow's general elections.
What we are doing is, up to today, we are still accrediting people. And you just imagine people who are coming at the last week to apply for an accreditation. We are so busy with receiving materials, counting materials, distributing materials, transporting materials all over the country. We have warned all the civil society, included those who call themselves independents, to submit their applications to be observers at the right time. 2 months ago, 1 month ago, no one did that. They're only bringing to us the application at the last week. We are still making our efforts to accredit all those who have submitted the application, and we hope today we'll be trying to complete and end the accreditation of all those applicants.
SABC reporter Siphephile Kunene is in Mozambique following this story for us. Siphephile, thanks so much for joining us. Where in Mozambique are you today, and what's happening?
Today I am in Maputo in Mozambique. Basically we're in the capital city of the country. We attended a press briefing this morning where civic organizations were still reiterating that they are not happy with the process in which this election is being conducted. They haven't been registered. They have independent observers that haven't been registered, and that on its own, it shows that the election won't be free and fair, and there won't be any transparency, apparently, because those independent observers that are seen as pro-government have been approved according to the civic organizations that we met this morning. And then later on, we went to another press briefing where the Electoral Commission was answering to that it's still open for registration, it's still open for people to get accreditation. They can come through and get accreditation until the end of business day today. That is still possible. And another concern by the civic society was the safety of residents of Mozambique is compromised, as well as of those other political parties besides the top political parties like your ruling party, Renamo, the ruling party Frelimo, as well as the opposition, the official opposition Renamo. So they said there is no safety there, but the commission said that has all been looked at. There will be police all over the place wherever there are voting stations to ensure safety. There'll be soldiers as well to make sure that everyone is safe. In the north, where it's said to be volatile, they have already planted security personnel from the state, which means soldiers and police are there, they're manning the place, as well as central Mozambique. That is what the commission said. So basically what's happening here is that people are going about to their business as usual. There isn't that hullabaloo that shows you that, well, there's election coming and people are all over the place, they're overexcited. That excited was only observed on Friday when we got here. What you see in the streets, it's billboards that show different parties, political parties, the people that they want to vote for, and that's all. Otherwise, in Maputo, it's business as usual, Peter.
All right, so I want to focus a little bit more on the election observers, and you mentioned that those that seemingly are pro-government, their paperwork is being processed quite quickly. The authorities are quick to say that no, the process continues. Those that haven't been registered, are they concerned at all about the way the election preparations are unfolding? Have you had a chance to communicate with any of them?
No, I wouldn't really know what they think about this because we haven't had a chance to communicate with them. We have only communicated with these because they had a press conference and they have an area where they are hosting every other media house who is here for the election. What we were told was that in as much as it's still open for accreditation, the people who are still not accredited won't be able to go to the far-flanked places, remote areas. Logistically, now it's impossible for the independent observers to get there. Even if they were to be accredited tonight, it won't work. That was what the civic society people were saying. So in as much as we would have loved to get hold of the other side, we haven't been able because they've already gone to the different places that they're supposed to be at so that they can observe this election.
All right, Siphephile, safety is a real concern. I mean, it was just a few days ago that ahead of a local observer mission was killed, apparently by authorities. Has that raised fears in the country?
It has raised fears with people around because it's not only that observer that was killed. Already over 250 people have died due to the ongoing attacks that are happening in the north as well as central Mozambique. So that is another addition of assault on the wound because that one apparently was killed by police that are expected to hold up the rule of law, and he was killed at a rally, and it's not clear yet why he was killed. But when we spoke to the Electoral Commission about that, they said yes, it has happened, but they are working around the clock to ensure that justice is served. Already there are perpetrators that have been arrested in connection with that, so they are working on it. Yes, the civic organizations we spoke to have raised that as a concern because that person was part of them. He was killed during the rally and he was part of them. They are doubtful that the presence of police will change anything because they allege that the very same person we're talking about that died, the observer that died, he was killed by police. So him being killed by police, it means that they have lost trust even in the protection system from the state.
All right, so then perhaps as a final question, does one get a sense that the hold on power that the Frelimo party will be tested much more this time around. They've been in power for 44 years in that country. Renamo, you mentioned, but there are other opposition parties. Do you think that this race will be a little bit more closer than in previous years?
It looks that way because there's MDM that has already joined into this battle for power, and it's been around for about 10 years. They say, we've been told that it's been around for like 10 years, but they are out in all force, and them being around, it means the slice of the pie for Frelimo is getting smaller because Renamo is there, and Renamo is going to elections for the first time without their historic leader Alfonso Dhlakama. So that as well has sort of given other parties space to get into the space to fight for power. So it is highly contested. We have 26 political parties that are ready, that are partaking in this election, which means more people will get involved in the system as opposed to having just Frelimo ruling through and through. The voting stations will be open by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. They'll be closed at 6 p.m. Being closed at 6 p.m., it means that those that are already in line will get attended to. And the commission, the Electoral Commission, also assured residents that they are safe in voting stations. They can go out in their numbers. Whatever situation is going on, they are in control of it. So in essence, Frelimo is not having it as easy as it used to in the previous years. And people on the ground are saying the problem with the ruling party is that it's looking out for itself and those people that are in power. It's not looking out for normal people. They complained about lack of employment in the country. People are leaving the country in massive numbers just to go get employment elsewhere. We're talking about Mozambicans that are skilled. People who are professionals do not have a fertile ground to practice here. So the voters are calling on government to do more in employment creation and making the place investor friendly for people to get employment here and the country to develop.
Siphephile, thanks very much indeed. That's where we're going to leave it. Muito obrigado, adeus. That's Siphephile Kunene, who's covering those elections for us. She's in Maputo today. Lots of tension, as she says, ahead of the polls tomorrow. 30 million population, but 13 million people will be going to the polls tomorrow. And they'll be voting for the first time, actually, for provincial governors. In the past, these had been appointed by the government, but the voters get an opportunity for the first time to do that. And talking about a close race, there is speculation that of the 10 provinces, Renamo may win 3 to 5 of them. So this will be a close race, and we'll be covering that for you. And Siphephile is on the ground for you.